Okay, so I thought my job was fun, but John's is way up there on the cool scale. John Kefaloukos is a former professional Xbox player. I mean, how cool is that? And current Twitch partner. He's also a show host, a commentator for esports, and a Microsoft executive. So John, welcome, and over to you to share your insights, experience, and your advice for our participants today.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Much appreciated. Now, everybody, my name is John Kefaloukos, also known as Falloutt in the gaming community. Different type of passion turned career than Cindy. Not necessarily sure if it requires as much brains as Cindy's does. So much respect to Cindy and all that she does at BP. And I'm excited to be talking today about my background and my career in the esports and gaming industry. Something tells me we have a lot of gamers out there that are watching right now. When I was younger, around high school time frame, I was able to take what was just a strong passion for video games and take that to the next level and start playing professionally. And granted, back when I was in high school, which seems like eons ago now, it was about 10, 15 years ago, esports was not nearly as big as it was now. I played Gears of War professionally for Xbox from 2007 till 2012, stopped playing professionally as a player in 2012 and started commentating and doing broadcasts as I actually was in college. And when I was in college, I was playing lacrosse and did a couple other things that kept me busy. So that natural step to commentary kind of made sense at the time. And again, all of this was out of passion, but was able to take that commentary background. I was doing broadcasts in hotel ballrooms on Twitch, right when Twitch came out early on, and turned that into a career in esports broadcasting. So now today I'm a broadcaster for Apex Legends and the Apex Legends Global Series, Fortnite, Gears of War, excuse me, Halo, and a variety of other games. I'm doing a Hearthstone show this weekend. I've never played Hearthstone in my life before, so wish me luck on that one. But I do esports broadcast nearly full time. Almost every weekend I'm doing a show, and then full time I work for Microsoft in sales out of Chicago, supporting some enterprise customers in selling software to help make customers more productive and help them digitally transform their business, much like Cindy was talking about how technology is so enrooted within BP and companies that maybe aren't traditional tech companies. So that's a quick high-level summary of my background. I'll go into some detail and kind of take it back to when I started early on in high school and just speak a little bit more to that and kind of share my story. Again, I was a similar age to probably a lot of you that are out there watching, a lot of students watching. So hopefully it's relatable and hopefully it helps propel each of you into careers, whether it's in gaming or gaming and esports, or greater technology careers in STEM. So when I was in high school, when I was younger, it really all started. Again, probably similar to a lot of you. I played video games with my siblings, and my first goal was to be better than my brother. And he's 6 years older than me, and his friends would always come over and we would LAN or play in person and have these little Halo tournaments. And I hated getting beat by my brother and his friends. So worked really hard and played a lot and practiced a lot and got better than my brother. And then it's like, okay, what's next? Started playing online and online multiplayer, again, like a lot of you do today. And I was like, okay, now I got to be better than people in matchmaking online and do well there. And I did. I got, pretty good. And then I was like, okay, what's next? And there's this website called Game Battles, which got acquired by Major League Gaming, which ended up being the pro circuit that I played for, that hosted online tournaments. So started doing that and kind of climbed the ladders there. And I said, okay, what's next? And then I found out about this Major League Gaming pro circuit, where a lot of kids my age, maybe a little bit older, 14 to 21, 22 years old, were holding up $100,000 checks and calling themselves the best players in the world at Gears of War and Halo. So I set my sights out and made it a goal to get just as good and do the same thing there. But what was interesting is, and I started going to tournaments. My first tournament was in Meadowlands, New Jersey. Again, if you couldn't tell by the background, I'm from Chicago. So had to convince my mom to fly me out to a tournament and support me. And the rule always was with my parents that as long as I did great in school, as long as I got straight A's and B's, they would support me in this passion for gaming. They would help me fly out until I got sponsors and fly out with me and go to tournaments. As soon as I got a C in school, if I ever did, that was it. Internet was shut off and I wasn't able to play. And you better believe that was all the motivation in the world that I needed to keep doing well in school alongside, professional gaming. So I started going to tournaments, and tournament after tournament got better and better, and ended up being a pro player for about 5 years. Placed third place at the MLG National Championships in 2008 and 2009. teamed with Nick Merckx and High Distortion, who you may have heard of in the Fortnite community. They're big streamers now, and played for Team Envy, which is a big esports organization. So I had a really, really awesome career. Really enjoyed playing. But again, taking it back to those high school days, it was crazy. My schedule was insane at that age. I would wake up, at 6:30 to get ready for school, 7, go to school and, get done with school around 3, go to lacrosse or football practice until around 6. And then that was it. It was time to practice for gaming because you had to put time in. So I would practice or scrimmage for 6-7 hours from 6 until maybe midnight, wake up at 6:30 and do it all over again. And, by all means, I don't recommend not getting sleep. Make sure you get your 8 hours in. But it was a really, really tough grind. And I didn't realize that it was a job. I just thought it was really just passion that was fueling me. So I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just playing because I loved it. But really, I was working a full-time job at the time. Also managing my social media account to try and get sponsors. I was sponsored by big brands. So without realizing it, I learned about social media marketing. I started 2 websites called gearsnation.com. That was kind of the de facto community hub for Gears of War at the time, where community members could kind of come and get together and talk about the game and build a community. So I was building community management skills. I was building some development skills by coding this website, helping bring the content to this website. Inspiring other people to volunteer and help out with this website. So really all of that kind of summarizes to by chasing my passion, I was developing important skills that ended up serving me really, really well as a full-time professional in technology and also in marketing nowadays. So I think the American dream is truly alive right now, more than ever from a careers perspective. Anyone can start a website, anyone can start an Etsy page, anyone can start a YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and I encourage every single one of you right now, while you have some extra time, because maybe you're not paying bills or you don't have a lot of grown-up adult responsibilities, you're not working a full-time job yet, put that time and passion into something productive that can help you, moving forward, whether it's, evolving into an amazing career like Cindy had, working for a big company in technology like BP, or working in gaming and esports by playing professionally. Or there's also esports management. You could be a coach, you could be a esports community manager, build esports programs. You can be in production and do the behind the scenes work with lighting and cameras. You could be a broadcaster. There's so much you can do in an esports career as well. So I think there's a variety of things that you can do in gaming and esports and beyond. So that's pretty much it. I'll wrap up there. And I wanted to also, of course, please, if you have any questions at all, post them in the chat. We have a Q&A feature that's built into Teams and built into the chat that we're going to be taking some questions from as they're coming in. I can't see them live myself, so I'll count on my man Antoine as a moderator, read any questions, but happy to take any questions at all. I've played with Nick Merckx and High Distortion at the highest level. I've commentated at the Apex Legends Krakow preseason invitational, Fortnite summer skirmish and fall skirmish events. Have had a really, really cool opportunity at a young age to travel around the world and see the world thanks to video games, which is interesting. If we don't have any questions, I have some videos I'd be happy to share as well that showcase the broadcast experience. If anyone's interested in understanding more what esports broadcasts look like, happy to share those as well. But Antoine, I'll pause there for a second and ask you any questions that we have coming in so far.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. And just a reminder to everyone, if you do have questions, go ahead and enter them into the Q&A chat box on the program today, and I will be sure to relay those to our guests. I do have a question I'd like to ask you, John, to start us out. What are a few things you know now that you wish you knew when you were in high school about gaming and esports?
Yeah, I love that. There's a few things. I think one, and it might sound cliche or corny, but it's true. I not necessarily about gaming and esports, but more about myself, and I think as it relates to my career in gaming and esports. I think I didn't have the confidence then that I do now. And I think I kind of gave in to the societal pressures that come with being a teenager and being a 16-year-old. I was embarrassed to be a pro gamer because back then it wasn't as mainstream, and I kept it a secret. At school, so I'd disappear for weekends and miss Mondays or Fridays of class, and then show up on Tuesday. And I had all sorts of weddings and family events that I was supposedly traveling to. I wish I just kind of embraced it and embraced who I was. I think that's something that we didn't talk about as much back then. about how you should just be proud of who you are and what you do that we do now. So I wish I kind of wore that on my sleeve, because I think it would have helped me, have some more confidence in school and help me parlay the, grow my gaming career even further. And it also would have helped me in performance. I didn't have a lot of confidence myself as a player at the time. And I think I could have gotten on better teams. I could have won championships. I only won one championship in my career. I think I could have done a lot more than that. So really, it's cliche and corny as it sounds. Have some confidence, and then also now's the time. I think at a young age, I wish I would have realized, like, the clock is ticking almost, until you kind of grow up and you have to get a job and you have to, kind of move on in terms of your career. So take advantage of the time you have now as a 14 to 21, 22, 23-year-old. To really run towards your passion as fast as you can, and again, fulfill that American dream of starting your own YouTube channel, creating content, and doing some great things. There's a young man that lives in the New York area. He's from Long Island, named Vraxoo, is his gamer tag, VRAXOO. Recommend you all giving him a follow. He is the example, an exemplary of how a 15-year-old is just taking advantage of every opportunity and working really, really hard to achieve his dreams. He's grown from 500 followers on Twitter last year to, I think, over 6,000 now. He's doing great things, and I recommend a lot of y'all, if you have a passion for that, do the same thing.
Awesome. That's some great advice. Thank you. I have our first question from our audience today. Seems to be pretty straightforward. What are your thoughts on Tyler 1?
I love it. That's awesome. We got some League of Legends fans out there. Listen, I've met Tyler 1. I've hung out with him at TwitchCon. He's an interesting character that is often just misinterpreted, misread. I think he's a good dude, a really good guy. I know he's a little controversial in terms of all that he's done and all that goes on in the community, but overall, I think he's an overall good person who's just an entertainer. He does what he does, and he's fun to watch, fun to hang out with. He is one of a kind as a human, so I'll definitely give him that.
That's great, John. Are there any other personalities, well-known personalities within the gaming industry that you'd like to tell us about? Any stories you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm not sure if a lot of people watch a lot of Twitch, but I mentioned Nick Merckx earlier. He's one of the top 4 streamers on Twitch. One of the just greatest people I know. I think what you see on camera is what you get in real life with him. He hasn't changed one bit with the success, with the fame. And he's reportedly bringing in, according to Forbes, $7 million a year streaming, playing video games professionally. So, for those, my parents, again, I came from a traditional Greek immigrant family. My dad was always telling me, stop playing video games, start studying more, or start, focusing more on school. Not to say you shouldn't do that. Again, Nick always had the same kind of rule with his parents that I did. And my parents actually used to talk to Nick's parents back in the day. But you definitely can turn your passion for video games into a career. It's possible if you do the right things. Nick's a great person. Dr. Lupo is someone that I admire a lot. I worked the Fortnite Summer Smash at the Australian Open, so literally the Australian Open tennis tournament that Djokovic won. I commentated a Fortnite tournament there with Dr. Lupo, and he's just a great human being, exactly what you see on camera as well. So a lot of really, really great individuals. I'm proud that a lot of these people are the right role models for gaming and esports, that's for sure.
That's great. Well, last question for today. Any thoughts you'd like to share with us on Facebook gaming?
Is that from the chat, or is that a question for you?
That's from the chat.
I like it. All right, cool. Facebook gaming and, of course, the Mixer partnership. A lot of people saw the announcement that came through. And while I don't work for Xbox or Mixer or gaming, so I can't necessarily represent Microsoft's viewpoints on it. These are kind of my personal viewpoints. I know there was a lot of controversy and discussion around why did Microsoft or Mixer partner with Facebook. I think at the end of the day, every Mixer partner at least had a home or an option to continue their partnership and had an option. I think it was important that not even, justifying the decision or what happened, but it was important that the Mixer partners were not completely left out to dry, as Microsoft had to make a really tough business decision. And Twitch is very stringent. YouTube is very stringent in who they accept as partners. So again, I can't speak on behalf of Twitch and YouTube, but something tells me Twitch would not have been willing to accept every Mixer partner as a Twitch partner, because they're very stringent. Same with YouTube. Whereas Facebook is trying to grow as a platform and would. So again, tough situation that Microsoft was in, and tough business decision that had to be made. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate the fact that a strong effort was made to kind of give partners a chance to go to Facebook Gaming all up. I think Facebook Gaming as a whole is in a difficult position. I think Microsoft was in a difficult position with Mixer, because I actually personally believe that the streaming war was over like 5-6 years ago. I think Twitch clearly established itself as a top dog in the industry. MLG TV came out, Azubu, Hitbox, all these streaming platforms tried to be the next Twitch and failed. And then of course the big technology companies came in like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and are trying to compete. Competition overall is a good thing because it means Twitch can't monopolize the industry and can't take advantage of that monopoly. So I'm glad that the likes of Facebook, Google are involved. But I think Facebook has a lot of work to do to try and overcome Twitch. It's a tough thing to do.
Awesome, thanks. So I think I'd like to ask one more question and end on a different question. So you mentioned essentially following your passion in terms of an online job, e.g. continue to pursue a YouTube channel, and mentioned the Twitter with 6,000 followers and how much money can be made. Many young people are actually following those types of opportunities, but due to many other factors, oversaturation, platforms on YouTube and Twitch, restrictions around that, the algorithm, it's actually hard to be noticed. How would you recommend going about getting an audience and growing an audience in such a competitive streaming environment?
Yeah, it's a great question. It is incredibly saturated now. There's a lot of people that are starting YouTube channels. Anyone with a smartphone, or a camera in front of them can start a YouTube channel, which again is great, but also makes it very difficult. To differentiate, I think there's a few things that can be done. Again, one, I'm going to point back to the young man I mentioned earlier named Vraxu, aka Daniel from Long Island. He was in the same boat. He was a freshman in high school that wanted to try and make a career out of this and wanted to try and make it happen, and he did. He has been. So if you're looking for a good, exemplary position of someone that's doing the same thing, definitely check him out. What he's doing, and I think what you should do out there if you're trying to stand out, is you really, really need to be aggressive in networking, aggressive in content, and it's tough to do, but as much as you can, put out great content. As a streamer, if you're trying to go, do big things as a streamer or YouTuber in gaming, at least, you have to have one of three things. If you have all three of these, you're in a great spot. One, you have to be entertaining, just funny, a funny personality, and not necessarily extroverted, but entertaining. Two, you have to be good at the game. So spend time kind of refining your skills and trying to get really, really good. Because if you're really good, you can post clips that might go viral. People can notice that. And then, or three, you have to be educational. You have to help other people understand the game in a way that's going to make them better, because people at the end of the day are watching you because they want to get better in a lot of ways because they are also gamers. So if you have all three of those things, which I think like the likes of Ninja, Nick Merckx, and a lot of other people do, then you're going to really find success. If you have one of those things, that's great. Definitely refine and focus on that. But try to kind of build those three areas if you can, as a way to differentiate yourself and to create great content.
Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for your presentation today and answering some of the questions from our audience. We're going to start our next segment today. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Caesar Wright, and we'll move on. But John, if you would like to stick around in the chat, there may be more questions you see